Hello everyone, this is Sabita Sunkara. Welcome back to our Enterprise Data Engineer interview series. So today's interview question is, what is change data capture? How does it work in an enterprise data pipeline? So most candidates simply say that CDC captures inserted, updated and deleted records. Yeah, that's correct. But experience interviews expects much more than just a definition. So they want to understand how CDC works internally, where it fits into an enterprise architecture, why organizations used it, and what best practices are followed in production. So let's understand CDC using a real enterprise banking scenarios. So let's start with a real world example. Imagine we are working for a multinational bank. So the customer table contains around 120 million customer records. So every day around 25,000 new customers are created, nearly 80,000 customer records are updated, and around 5,000 accounts are closed. So the business expects dashboards to refresh every hour, so management always has the latest information. Now imagine if every hour our ETL pipeline reads all 120 million records just to find those few changed records. Oh, that means unnecessary database scans, higher CPU uses, more memory consumption, and network overhead, and longer ETL execution times. So, as the database grows, this approach becomes slower and more expensive. So, instead, the business requirement is simple. So, process only the records that have changed since the previous execution. So those changes include new records, updated records and deleted records. So this is exactly the business problem that change data capture or CDC is designed to solve. Okay. Instead of scanning the entire table, CDC identifies only the changed rows and making enterprise data pipelines much faster, also more efficient and highly scalable. Now, let's understand how CDC fits into an enterprise architecture. So, everything starts with the OLTP database where business transactions occur, and whenever a customer is created, updated, or deleted, SQL Server writes that activity into its transaction log. So, CDC continuously monitors this transaction log instead of scanning the actual table. So whenever it detects an insert, update or delete operation, it records only those changes into CDC change tables. So our ETL orchestration tools such as Azure Data Factory, SSIS, Talent or Databricks reads only these change records. So these records are first stored in the bronze layer as raw data. Next, they move into the silver layer where data cleaning, duplication and schema validation, also business rules are applied. Then finally the curated business ready and data is stored in the gold layer for reporting, Power BI dashboards, machine learnings and downstream applications. So the key advantage is that every downstream system receives only the changed data instead of processing million of unchanged rows. Am I right? So now let's follow a single customer update through the complete CDC pipeline. So here we can see the end-to-end CDC data flow. Suppose a customer changes their home address using the bank's mobile application. Then the application updates the customer table in SQL Server. Once the transaction is committed, SQL Server immediately records that change inside the transaction log. So now CDC continuously monitors this log and detects that an update operation has occurred. Now, instead of reading the entire customer table, CDC extracts only this update record along with the useful metadata such as the operation type, timestamp, and log sequence number. Then Azure Data Factory or another ETL tool reads only this CDC output. So the record is loaded into the bronze layer. Now the next validation begins. So here we verify mandatory fields, business rules, duplicate records and data quality. After validation, the update customer information is merged into the silver layer and finally published to the gold layer. Here you know already, Power BI dashboards automatically display the latest customer information. Notice something important here. The pipeline never touched the remaining 119 million unchanged records. Got it? So it processed only one modified record. That's the real power of CDC. So this is the section that interviewers really appreciate because it reflects production experience. So using this CDC is not just about capturing changes, it's about building a reliable and maintainable enterprise pipeline. Am I right? So the first best practice is choosing the right CDC mechanism. So depending on the technology stack, we may use SQL Server CDC or Oracle Log Miner or Debizium or Snowflake Streams or Delta Change data feeds or AWS DMS. So second, always capture only the required tables and columns. Avoid enabling CDC on unnecessary tables because it increases storage and maintenance overhead. So the third is maintain a reliable watermark or checkpoint. This one ensures that every execution continues exactly from the last successful position. Then the fourth one is implement strong validation. Every CDC record should pass schema validation, business rule validation, duplicate detection, and referential integrity checks before loading into the warehouse. So also, I always tell monitoring is equally important. Track CDC latency and change volume, processing throughput, and fail records and pipeline execution time. So if anything fails, generate alerts immediately. Then another important production practice is designing idiopotent pipelines, right? Sometimes I call idiopotent and sometimes idiopotent. Anything you can use your sake. Okay. If your job is rerun, it should never create duplicate records. So finally, always maintain audit logs and lineage information. So in production, troubleshooting becomes much easier when every CDC execution is fully traceable, right? So now we are in interview section. Am I right? So here interviewer can ask, explain change data capture in a production environment. So this is how we can say answer. So change data capture is an enterprise mechanism that identifies insert, update and delete operations by reading the database transaction log instead of scanning the entire source table. Then its primary objective is to move only changed data into downstream systems. So in production, we use CDC to reduce ETL execution time, minimize database load, lower infrastructure costs, and enable near real-time reporting. So depending on the platform, we have to implement CDC using SQL Server CDC or Oracle Log Miner, Debizium, Snowflake streams or Delta Change data feeds. So after that, the captured changes are processed through bronze, silver and gold layers where validation, transformation, duplication and business rules are applied before publishing data to analytic platforms. So we also implement monitoring, watermark tracking, audit logging, retry mechanisms and idempotent processing to ensure reliability. So from my experience, CDC is one of the most important technologies for building scalable, high-performance enterprise data pipelines because it processes only changed data while maintaining data quality and consistency. So As usual, tips are real, I'm saying the real project tips. Okay, CDC identifies changes, it does not replace your ETL transformations. So always test, insert, update, and delete scenarios separately. Then keep an eye on transaction log, growth, and CDC retention settings. Then build strong monitoring because silent CDC failures can lead to missing business data. Then use merge operations carefully to avoid duplicates or incorrect updates. Then yes, that this brings us to end of today's episode on change data capture. So the biggest takeaway is CDC captures only the changed records by reading transactional logs, making enterprise data pipelines faster, more scalable, cost effective, and suitable for near real time analytics. Okay, then yeah, if you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to channel. Don't forget to press the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming enterprise data engineer interview series. So thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next episode where we will discuss slowly changing dimensions, that is SCD type 1 versus type 2. Thank you.